Welcome to my class, and let's look at the dot product of unit vectors I, j, and k. The dot product of these unit vectors. So I've drawn this diagram here just for that purpose. Remember that these are vectors whose length is 1. So the length of I is 1, the length of j is 1, and then the length of k is 1. That is, and remember from our previous knowledge how to get the dot product. We say that the dot product, if you're given two vectors a and b, so the dot product between a and b is given by the magnitude of a times the magnitude of b cos theta, where theta is the angle between a and b. So we'll be using this formula to get the dot product of these unit vectors. So what's the dot product of I and I? I and I dot I. So using this formula, it will be the magnitude of I, which is 1, times the magnitude of the other I, which is also 1, cos theta. And remember that I is just, this is I. So the angle between I and itself is 0. So our theta here is 0. Our theta here is 0. So that I times dot I will be, and cos 0 is 1. So 1 times 1 times 1, 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. So that means I dot I is 1. And the same thing happens with j dot j. So j dot j, the magnitude of j is 1 times, I'm just using this formula, times the magnitude of j again is 1, and then cos theta. Theta is the angle between j and itself, and that theta is 0. So in fact, we are talking of 1 times 1, cos 0 is also 1. So this would be 1. So that is why I've said that from this figure, I dot I is the same as j dot j, is the same as k dot k, which is 1. Because k dot k will also do the same thing. So do the same thing, it will be the magnitude of k, which is 1, times the magnitude of k again, which is 1, cos 0. So 0 is the angle between k and itself. And that will be 1 times 1 times 1, which is 1. So k dot k is also 1. Now what about, let me see, what about I dot j? What about I dot j? So the magnitude of I, which is 1, the magnitude of j, and you can see this is the magnitude of j, this distance, this blue distance is the magnitude of j, and this red distance here is the magnitude of I, it's 1. So 1 times 1 cos theta, the angle between I and j is 90. This angle here is 90. So cos 90. But cos 90 is 0. So this will be 1 times 1 times 0, which is 0. So I dot j, which is same as j dot I, will be 0. What about I dot k? It will again be 0 because the magnitude of I is 1, the magnitude of k is 1, and then cos 90. The angle between k and I is 90. And cos 90 is 0. So the whole of the entire right hand side will be 0. So that is why I said that I dot j the same as I dot k, the same as j dot k, and is the same as 0, because the angle between them is 90. So that's how we find the dot product of the unit vectors. And so, using that knowledge, we can find the dot product between A and B. We can find the dot product between A and B. So let's just see. So you're given our A. We are given this is our A and this is our B. So what's the dot product? So A dot B will be, we just multiply this and this. So alpha 1 times alpha B beta 1, no, alpha 1 times beta 1 will be alpha 1 beta 1, and this will be I dot I, this I, and this other I. Okay, let's come to, so you know what we are doing, just multiplying the entire this, and the entire this. Let me just okay. So I've multiplied this and this. So let me now do this and this. So this will give me alpha 1 beta 2 I dot j. Now this and this will be alpha 1 beta 3 I dot k. Okay, I'm done with this. I'm done with that. So I want to I now want to use the other one, the second one, this, and the whole of this. So alpha 2j and this will give me alpha 2 beta 1 j dot I. What about this and the second? It will be alpha 1 beta 2 j dot j. What about this and the last one? It will be alpha 2 beta 3 j dot k. Okay, now we come to the last one. So this and the entire this will be alpha 3 beta 1 k dot I. And then the next one will be alpha 3 beta 2 k dot j. And then lastly alpha 3 beta 3 k dot k. Now, so which ones go to 0 here? Which ones go to 0? Remember from our previous knowledge is that this will give us 1. This will give us 1. and this will give us 1. And also remember that this is 0. This is another 0. This is another 0. This is another 0. This is a 0. And this is a 0. So this is 1. 1 times this, you get alpha 1 beta 1. This is a 0 times this would be 0. This is another 0 times this would be 0. This is a 0 times this would be 0. And again, this is a 1 times this, you get alpha 1 beta 2. Because this was JJ. Just a minute. This was alpha 1 we came up to here. This was alpha 2. This was alpha 2. Alpha 2 beta 2. Then this will be alpha 3 beta 3. The rest go to 0. So that means A dot B is this. A dot B is this. It will be alpha 1 beta 1 plus alpha 2 beta 2 plus alpha 3 beta 3. What about A dot A? So it's just A dot A is just alpha 1 square plus alpha 2 square plus alpha 3 square. That would be A dot A, because it's this dot itself. And that's how you compute the dot product of these unit vectors. So I had done it, I had done the results, and the results are here. So let me look at this example here. What does it say? So the example says that if P is a vector, Q another vector, prove that P dot Q is this. This is just the same thing we did. So we just apply the formula. This dot that. So proving, we just have to multiply the same way we did for the first example there. A1I times B1JI gives us this. And then A1I times B2J gives us this. Or you can say dot, not necessarily times, dot. And then A1I dot B2K, no, B3K will give us this. So you remember these are constants, so we take them first. And then we get the dot product of these others. So we are done with this, modeling A1I times the entire this. So let's model now A2J times this, the whole of this. So A2J dot B1I, it will be A2 B1 J dot I. So you do that for the entire thing. Then after doing that for the whole of it, remember that I dot I will be 1, but this one will be 0. So this is 0, this is 0, this is 0, but this is 1. This is also 1, but this is 0, this is 0, so 0. So now just to simplify them. This will be 1 times this, so it will be A1, B1. But these others will be 0. Apart from this one, which will be A2, B2. Then the others will be 0 again, but this A3, B3 will not be 0. So we've shown that this dot, this is this. So we just use the knowledge of the dot product of the unit vectors. So that is all for today, and then we meet in the next video for another topic.